Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jeff Rains coming to you again with Foundation of Civilization. I wanted to address something today that most of us don't even realize, and that's our faith in things. Most of us understand and recognize that the principle that people have faith in religion, whether it be Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, or any other one. I'm not trying to leave anybody out, but though religion is often based on the belief in things that we can't see, things that we can't, beyond our perceptive ability. Where did we come from before this life? Where are we going after this life? But we have faith in things that most of us don't even realize, don't understand. We have faith in things like nations, political parties, currency, business, markets, stocks, bonds, news organizations, and educations. While I was recently reading a book by Hanara, a book called Sapiens, he knows that all of us have these kinds of faith. We have a belief in something. And uh, his questions and his notes in there sparked something in me. And it was an agreement that something that I have recognized in people. We have devotions to things that we don't really understand, we don't realize. Now, Hanara is very secular, and he doesn't recognize anything beyond the visual, what the physical world that you can prove. I do. I believe that there is something beyond that. But we still live in the physical world, and we have to function here and figure out how to operate. Um, we have these devotions, we have these beliefs and faith beyond in things beyond our perceptive abilities, and we we like to think that we're cognitive creatures, but we're really not. We're not cognitive creatures, we're emotional creatures. About 80% of our decision making is based on our emotions, and the rest of it we just, yeah, I mean, well, our perceptive abilities are limited. We can only see things in the visible light spectrum, and we can only hear things in a certain band. Well, uh, and we can only see the things that are right in front of us. Most of us don't realize just how much faith is required to live our lives today. Even those who have a basic existence rely on many other people to support their lifestyle. I remember when the Unabomber, who was very anti industrialization, that when they showed his cabin, it was mostly made out of plywood. Well, was he making the plywood? A very simple place. I mean, he lived very frugally, and unfortunately wanted to kill a lot of people who didn't live the same way. But he still had to rely on other people to make a lot of the things that he needed. Um, what do you have faith in? And why do you have the faith in it, in those institutions, in the business and nations and politics? Well, we believe that we're better off by having faith and adhering to the principles that are associated with these institutions than if we don't adhere to those principles. I have a job. I have faith in my company. I go to work, provide the labor that they require, and they provide me pay. The system's working for now. I've seen and heard of plenty of people who were betrayed by companies as the company failed, as their business model came apart for various reasons. Uh, where did the devotion that we have to these institutions begin? Well, if we trace it back, likely it started with a band of warriors went out to combat, fight against another group of people. One of them stood out as being very valiant, probably a very large person, um, aggressive and thoughtful and cautious. They led the battle, they won the battle, and the other soldiers that were with them, uh, swore their loyalty to them. As they returned back to their communities, their villages and cities, the people heard their tales and recognized that they should be devoted to these people. This is where we ended up getting our royalty, our kings and queens. There, um, as with any devoted parent, these kings and queens would try to pass that loyalty, that devotion on to their children. Uh, Today we call it nepotism, but back in the day, that was actually fairly normal to see something like that happen. Well, and even today, it's fairly normal to see something like that happen. Uh, and sometimes we see it as a natural progression, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's beneficial, sometimes it's not. There's some interesting. Actually, I did hear the story of a company who they refused to work with a third generation of a company. They had discovered through their experience, it was a law firm. They discovered through their experience that once the company had passed from when it passed from father to son, it usually did fine. But when it passed from the son to the grandson or granddaughter, whichever the case may be, uh, something came apart, and they chose not to work with those people anymore. Um, what a- what do you have devotion in? As our world economics has developed, people have learned the benefit of working together. They have, somebody harvested grains, mined ores, and produced manufactured goods. And then they ship those all over the place. The Silk Road went from China all the way into the Middle East. The the people who transported those goods, they had faith that they were going to be able to get from the point of origin to their destination without too much trouble. That they weren't going to end up being victimized by raiding bands or by pirates. Currently, the Western world's economic system revolves around what they call the SWIFT system, and it is based on the US dollar. It's a banking system based on the US dollar. And that's goes to the agreements that were made after World War II, from Bretton Woods on. The trouble that we're running into today is that the world has gotten irritated at the abuse of this system by Western powers, by the United Kingdom, France, United States. Now the European Union has gotten in, and they've got their own currency system that feeds into the SWIFT system, and but it's still based on the U.S. dollar. Many of these countries that have been victimized and are big enough have gotten together, and they are setting up their own system called they're called the BRICS nations. It's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and now South Africa. Similarly, these nations will have faith in a new financial system. As uh, s- Speaking of faith in the old system, as a member of the military, I swore devotion to the Constitution of the United States and the officers that were posted over me. Well, what would I have to do if my superiors requested me to do something that was illegal or immoral? I'd have to rely on my devotions in the other areas to determine what course of action I should have taken. Luckily, I don't think I ever came across that problem. As we are watching our transitions occur, like we're seeing today in our world, our paradigms are challenged, and we have to figure out where are to change our devotions. Where is your faith? Are you getting the results that you want? Why do you have the faith in the people, currency, or institutions that you do? We live in a time when it is easy to broadcast false information and gain a following. This is especially true of our information systems, our education systems, unfortunately. Uh, uh, Politicians, I mean, the jokes are that politicians can't seem to open their mouth without lying. I don't know why we put up with that. I mean, yeah, they're going to make promises that they can't keep, but the majority of them should work in our favor. Unfortunately, they don't, at least not today. If What things do you have faith in today? If you don't make your own things, like grow your own food, making your own tools and shelter, you have faith in systems that are going to bring you those things. Businesses have risen and fallen all throughout all time. Political parties have, again, risen and fallen throughout history. Currencies have failed. Nations have emerged from nothing only to disappear a few hundred years later, or maybe a few decades later, for any number of reasons. It might be there might be something wrong with the climate. There might be something wrong with their economics, with the policies. They may have some kind of biological problem arise, or ecological disasters, volcanoes erupting. Along with the failures of the countries, go their currency, their laws, politicians. Thank goodness the politicians, their officials, education, everything goes. Sometimes these failures are sudden. Oftentimes they take decades or centuries to unfold. One of the earliest civilizations rose in the Indus Valley. Something happened, we don't even know what, but those cities were ended up being abandoned. At one time, the Yucatan Peninsula supported a population of was it 2 million or 20 million people. Today, it only sustains about 200,000 people. Uh, are you watching as the systems and institutions that we believe in crumble? Are you seeing the signs of failure? In 1995, Barings Bank was a 233-year-old bank. It came apart by one person, one single trader brought down the bank. In 2008, Lehman Brothers investment firm collapsed. It's 2024 now, and we're seeing record numbers of banks that are collapsing. Silicon Bank, Washington Mutual. Along with these banks, many businesses are failing. I'm seeing the economic and social destructions that always accompany historical transitions. I hope that you are ready. I hope that you're getting prepared and you recognize the trouble that is coming. I do. I recognize it. And I'm trying to get myself ready, although I know we've got a lot more things that we need to do. Um, please get ready. I hope that you're prepared mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And much love to everybody, and wish you guys the best. And prayers for you all. Again, this is Jeff Rains with Foundation of Civilization. Please like and share, and let your friends know that they need to get ready. Thanks again. Bye.